When I was 19, it was between my freshman and sophomore year of college, I had a chance to go to China. And my group was one of the very first college groups that China had allowed into the country after they'd been closed for so long. And I went, to be honest, the reason I went was because I heard the shopping was good. And I knew that not many other people had ever been there, and so it would be a unique trip. But about halfway through, I was there for 2 months. I literally, it was the first time that I really heard in my head the Lord say, "I want you to come back."
So from our earliest days together, all the way back to college days, we were very aware that God had a call in our life. And that initially looked like being sent to Hong Kong to church plant.
Yeah, and those years were years that we kind of title Walking with God, learning to walk with God. We learned a lot of things about Him that we didn't know before. And we were there to church plant, and we loved the Chinese people, but also God was changing us and working in us. Yeah.
Suddenly, much to our surprise, He sent us back to the U.S., to a city called Detroit and a church called Grace Community Church. And I was hired to be on the staff at that time, about 30 years ago. And that was a fresh new chapter for us, one that we didn't expect.
Yeah, and our time here was a time of learning to walk with others.
Yeah, so during our years at Grace, these two ideas of walking with God, walking with others began to develop into a dream, and we began to dream about pastoring men and women who lived all over the world, global workers, ministry partners, wherever they are in the world. And so eventually God sent us to do that, and that's what we've been doing for the last 20 years with an organization called Barnabas, is we pastor people living in other countries. I would say one of the things that often amazes me is that we're all just ordinary people. Sometimes we put people on a pedestal. They're just ordinary people. God sends us all over the world to do. I don't know how many times I'm walking some back alley someplace thinking, how did I get here? I'm just a guy from the U.S. How did I get here? But He has sent us there. And yeah, you're right. We get to work with amazing people all over the place. But they're just normal men and women and kids. And God's doing amazing work in their lives.
There are a lot of different ways to hear a call. It might actually be words that you hear from God, or just because you've seen someone else doing it and your heart is drawn in that direction.
I think the calling idea is very subjective. It's really, how do you have a calling type of thing? It can be, as Beth described, or it could be a very clear sense of God's asked me to do something. But frequently, it lines up with our joy, that which we're drawn to, which we're excited about. And it also happens to also tend to respond to a need in the community. And so it could be sports, it could be teaching, it could be whatever. It's something that you enjoy doing and you love to do, but it's also something that somebody else needs. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be super spiritual. It just cares for people.
Yeah. I have a friend who says, what breaks your heart? Go that direction, but follow that direction. And I think sometimes that is God sending you to a specific area, specific place that He's put on your heart.